Hello and welcome, everybody. It is Thursday night, so it is time once again for the Tank Show, where we try to spend some time acquiring new knowledge. This is not Chattanooga Ed here with me tonight, as usual. He is still recovering from his heart surgery. He's doing well, but he's not quite up to coming back to streaming just yet. But we do have the lovely Kasia from Creative Pet Keeping who has joined us.
I will try my best to be a worthy substitute for Ed. I feel like it's kind of hard because he's pretty cool, but I don't know. I'll do my best.
He's a pretty cool guy, but you wore the red shirt instead of his red beard, so that we'll allow it. That'll work.
There we go.
But I appreciate you being here. It's awesome to have you on. I had fun talking to you at Aquashella in Orlando, which is what kind of sparked this. Was like, hey, you want to come on sometime? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. Here we are.
I really appreciate it, because then you get me out of my little hidey hole and I'd be like, hello, guys. I'm here, because I'm an introvert.
Yeah, and I can understand that. And it's nice to pull the introverts out every once in a while and bring them into the spotlight. So just a friendly reminder for anybody in the chat that does not know, if you put the @ symbol in front of Fish Room Fever, that will highlight on my screen, and we will take your questions and comments and read them live on the air. Until the group livens up, because I know that KG Tropicals is still going. I'll go ahead and ask you some of the basic questions, the things that I want to know. Like, what is your favorite aquarium size?
Ooh, I think that would be for sure the 20-gallon long. I really like it because it's not an overwhelming size. It's not something you need like a crazy, because I know some people, won't buy an aquarium stand. They just want something they could put on a dresser. So that's like a safe, not every dresser will hold it up, but your IKEA thing might survive it. 20 gallons. I think so. And then it's long enough that you can kind of set up this nice little escape and have a small little tiny community tank going. You can't go too crazy, but it's nice. I really like it. I have a lot of them, and it's my favorite size for sure, because I do think that certain fish species prefer wider space than taller, so it kind of meets all those needs, and it's my favoriteest of the favorite.
And that is a very good tank. I've got quite a few of those. And yeah, that additional surface area that you get, plus being able to do some scaping in it versus the smaller tanks, is very nice. And I noticed you've got one of them set up for a breeding for profit with guppies and shrimp in it. That was a really cool video. I enjoyed that.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, definitely.
It's a very easy tank to keep, and I kind of like to try to figure out sometimes what I can do to make tanks easier, because when you have a lot of tanks and you don't want all of them to be high maintenance, so I try to balance it out. And then I have some that I will put more work in, and then I have my like easy lazy tanks, and that's my like easy lazy tank, which I really enjoy.
Well, and that's a very smart approach. It's nice to have some of the really intense, aquascaped tanks, but if everything is high maintenance and you start getting into several of them, then that can kind of, put a damper on the hobby, and you're spending all your time trying to take care of things and not as much enjoying, I think, just in my opinion.
That's true. And then also, like, stuff sometimes happens. Like this week I hurt my neck a little bit, so I haven't been doing a whole lot with my tanks, and I kind of like that my fish room is set up to be it can be low maintenance for a while, and it will do okay on low maintenance mode. So if something happens, I'm okay. My backup is Daniel, who's like in the corner over there gaming. You may hear him like clicking away, but he's been trained in the care of fish. So like, I don't know if I just like magically spontaneously like combusted one day, like he can keep the fish going and the fish room going. He knows how to feed everyone. He knows how to do water changes. So that's my like backup. But that's my little like advice, is try to keep things easy sometimes, because you can get a lot of tanks because it's so fun and exciting, and then you can get overwhelmed a little bit without realizing it. Like, it'll creep up on you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've talked about that on some previous streams, getting into that burnout stage where it's fun and you go and then you're like, especially when something happens, you have an injury or somebody gets sick, or we're watching a 15-month-old right now, my nephew. Aww. And so that's like, the new mode of the house is everybody taking care of the baby. It's fun, but it's different. But I don't have to worry about, like you said, dealing with fish tanks nearly as much. I could just
You
take
gotta
care of the
watch
supply
out
and all that
for when
stuff.
he gets
Yeah.
bigger. Because when I was little, I dropped an egg into my grandpa's tank. So
That is why I took a break from the hobby for half a decade. I had tanks, and then we had 2 children, and it was like, oh, pennies are going in the fish tank and all sorts of stuff. And I took a break from the hobby. Mine are 8 and 10 now. They both still have birthdays this year, so they're getting a little older.
oh,
But yeah, it's definitely like, all right, watch the fish around the baby and the baby around the fish, and we'll be okay.
yeah. For me, it's like that, but with my cat, I guess, but which is not the same at all. But I guess cats can get into trouble, just different kind of trouble.
They can. I've got one. Well, we've got a couple cats, but I've got one in particular that causes problems around the fish tanks or gets into trouble. I've caught him trying to go fishing a couple times, and he also likes to drink out of tanks. But he decided that my piranha tank was where he wants to have his little sleeping area. So I had to like really secure it because he'd like try and get his head around through the back behind the lid and stuff and drink out of it. I'm like, you don't want to put your tongue down in that tank, buddy.
Or like, they can put their tail because they always like flick their tail and it goes everywhere.
Definitely. I'm going to grab a couple things from the chat real quick so I don't get too far behind. Levi's Aquariums and Terrariums saying, editing a video, I will come back in a bit. Levi, have fun with that. Good luck. We'll see you shortly. Ben Backstrom saying, hey, Fisher and Fever, glad you're back this week. Missed Tank Talk last week. I'm glad to be back. It's one of those things where I've had Ed on for so long that you take things for granted sometimes. Not that I take Ed for granted, but just a simple fact that with 2 of us, if one of us isn't feeling well and needs to step away for a minute or 2, the other person could just carry the show. Whereas last week, I'm like, if I'm not feeling good, there's nobody to keep talking, and I'm not going to put up a blank screen for 3 minutes. So we just canceled. And I'm sorry about that, Ben, but I'm glad to be back hanging out with you all and have this wonderful person on here to talk to this week.
I feel fancy.
You are fancy. You're right at 100,000 subscribers. I think you're like
I'm
just at the
close.
cusp. Yeah.
I'm really excited because my dad told me that if we get to 100,000, then we get to go to not only like any restaurant like downtown, but within reason, he said we could pick one of the 1-star Michelin, which is something we've never done before. Or we're not like at all like family that has like a lot of money, because it's one of those things that like he's seen me like work on this for so long that he's excited and he wants to be like, let's do something big to like celebrate this big thing. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Dad. That's very nice. So now I feel really fancy because I'm like, that's kind of a very fancy offer, but
definitely. That's very cool. Well, I'm sure you will be there in no time. If somehow anybody hasn't subscribed to Creative Pet Keeping, the link is in the description. Words are hard. And it will, I'm sure, be dropped in the live stream chat as well. So please go check her out. I'm sure you'll like what you see and hit the subscribe button. Rico Stan with $5 super chat says she's a super chat. She's super chatty. He's always throwing out song lyrics, changing them up and all that stuff. Thank you so much, Rico, for that $5 super chat. For anybody that's not aware, Rico Stan will be going tonight after this live stream. In a little under an hour, he will be substituting for Chattanooga Ed's live stream. So go check his show out. We'll, of course, link to all that stuff as we wrap things up here. Thanks again, buddy, for the support. Bunny Viper says, I love my 20-gallon long. I had a hard time with filtration until I added a wave maker. It holds my killifish. I'm going to screw the Latin up on that. And my L398, Pipliotis sexfasciatus. It's not a talking day today. I'm going to be honest. I was taking a little nap right before this because, at least for me, if I'm sitting and I've got my feet kicked back and I've got a sleepy baby on me, that puts me to sleep. Like, I'm done. So like I was sitting there holding a baby that's falling asleep, and I'm like, I've got a stream. I can't go to sleep. So my brain's still waking up, but we'll get there. Patrick Hardy saying hello to Fish Fever and Creative Pet Keeping. Hello, Patrick.
Hello. You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Half the time I have to refilm my videos is when I'm like messing things up and like saying things wrong. There's so many bloopers, and I try to sometimes include them, but then it would be like too much because it's just me being like, bull.
I did I had fun one time. I did a members only stream while I was filming videos. So I was, had this streaming and then I was doing my recording over here. So they got to see some of the bloopers as they were happening and me doing different takes. That was a little fun, but something I wouldn't want to incorporate all the time.
I wonder if I should try to do that one day. I don't know. That would be too weird.
They seemed to enjoy it. It was definitely weird. And even like coming back this week from missing a week of streaming because I do it so regularly, there was that little bit of panic of how do I do this? It's been forever. It's been 2 weeks.
I mean, it kind of feels like that because I mean, for me personally, I haven't made a video in like it's gonna be now 2 weeks because I felt a little behind. There was just a lot of stuff going on in my life. And I couldn't do it, but I am working on one. So there probably might be one this Saturday, probably. But now I'm just like, even though it's been 2 weeks, I'm just like, how do you YouTube? How do you video? How do you what?
Yeah, what's going on here?
My brain is like, does not compute. Boop boop.
Yeah, mine will do the exact same thing. Pegasus Arena says, hello, my friend, and hi, new friend, Kasia. I found out doctor appointment that baby is suddenly due any day. Or Sabrina is pregnant. Also tell Ed I hope he heals fast. Lots of love from me and the kids. Well, Ed is probably listening right now, lurking. And I say that not because we're so awesome that he just has to tune in, but because last week he was like, I was going to listen, but you didn't stream. So Ed, hello. Just know you're in our thoughts and prayers and well wishes and whatever it is everybody believes in out there. And thank you, Rena. It's good to see you. And we're looking forward to that newest member of the Fish Fam coming any day now. Alice B would like me to tell you, I'll just read it. Please tell Kasia that I love her energy so much. She is awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you are. You've got a really good energy about you. You're fun and you're not like super serious like that John guy at KT Tropicals. He's which thanks to him and Lisa for the send over. Very much appreciate that. I know we had some people pop in from KT Tropicals as they wrapped up. So thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. All right.
Super cool.
Now that I'm not too far
I never
behind.
do anything at night. So it's like, it's cool to be on these live streams at night because no one ever sees my fish room like in the darkness.
Yeah, it's like the
back
away back there.
I know.
It is.
I have my little glow lights, my LEDs under my table. So if like things change color on the panda, that's why. Because we're like fancy. We do the cool gaming stuff, and my fish like a rave apparently.
There you go. Hey, absolutely. That's kind of like. I may have to try that. Some of the lights they have where you can cycle the colors and do the disco mode. So we'll have to throw that on for the fish and see if they enjoy it.
Probably show you guys a little peek. There's Daniel gaming over there, and he's got his little glowiness right there too.
So that's cool.
He's playing League. Super fun. But yeah.
Very nice. I've not done that, I've not really done computer gaming. I'm a console gamer. I'm one of those second class people.
No, but, I like console. I'm mostly like a Nintendo person, and then Daniel's a PlayStation person, and then we come together with console.
I love it, but I may have to try some of that. My Xbox signing keeps trying to get me to play on the computer, and I'm like, no, I just want to go do my thing in my chair. Leave me alone.
Oh.
Let me see where this went. Okay, we'll get back to the chat here in just a second. I see a couple more questions in there. I want to ask you, though, because I don't see you on a whole lot of streams. Like you mentioned, you're an introvert. So I feel like these haven't been necessarily worn out with you, whereas some people we see the same question get asked 4 times a month. So do you have a dream fish? Do you have a fish that you're like, one day I will have that fish?
It's not an exciting fish, I feel like, because I really want a comet goldfish. Very specifically, I want like 1 or 2. I want them in a nice large tank, and I want to try to train it. Like, how people try to teach them to swim through and all this stuff. I really want to do it. And I feel like with a comet goldfish, that would kind of work because I like their streamlined bodies. I've never really kept goldfish before. And I'm not super drawn to the ones with different shaped bodies because I do get a little concerned, which is just, a personal preference. Nothing against anybody who has them or personally likes them. I just like the more traditional. I'm like with bettas too, which is why I like the shorter fin varieties of bettas as well. I just like more natural, like simple fish in that sense. So I kind of want that. And then I also, against like the better judgment of my fish club, I kind of want a female flower horn just because they're cool. I like the females because I don't like how huge the humps get for the males.
Right.
But they are very pretty and they're very personable fish. So it's like those are the two fish that I want. And it's weird. It's not like, it doesn't sound like a dream fish, I guess, because I feel like a cool person would be like, I'm gonna pull out this cool species that looks cool from this super hard location, like to find. But I'm just like, comet goldfish, female flower horn, two fish. I would really like. Maybe it's because I secretly really want a big tank because my biggest tank is my 55.
Okay.
And I kind of don't want to get rid of my Placidochromis. I was supposed to just like grow them up, breed them, get my BAP for them, and then move on. But then I got really emotionally attached, and I'm just going to keep them forever.
There you go. Well, I mean, I think those are good answers. I like it because it's not something crazy out there like a lot of people would say, like you mentioned, but you have purpose behind it. You know, like the comet goldfish, you want to train them to do something. I fall kind of in that same boat of mine's not necessarily the fish itself. It's because I want to go collect the fish personally and bring it back. So it's, I get it. I get that.
That's a cool thing too.
So yeah, one day, one of these days it'll happen.
Because it has a purpose, but also has some mystery behind it. Because what fish are you going to get? Even if you're looking for a particular fish, the chances that you will find that particular fish are not always there. And you might find something else that's just as cool and still bring it back. So It could be like a fish of dreams surprise.
That's a good point. I like that. You were talking about your fish club. Razor Reef here is asking what fish I'm going to be looking for at the East Tennessee Aquatic Association swap on Saturday. Anybody that's in the East Tennessee area, you can check them out on Facebook. It's a newer club that's formed here in East Tennessee. They do really, really fun stuff every month. I don't know that I'll be able to make it. I'm going to try, but with us watching a baby for a little while, and Mrs. Fever's still healing up from her ankle injury, I don't necessarily know that I want to leave her with, a 15-month-old and the boys to go do fish stuff. But if I were going, I would be looking for some really pretty guppies. I'm always looking for really pretty guppies, and I blame Chattanooga Ed for that. I wasn't really a guppy person until I met Ed, and he made me fall in love with the guppies and the endlers. So.
I was never a guppy person either. I only have one species so far, and they're like not the super like prolific ones because they're the super red albino. And at least for the setup I have, it's not optimal to get like a really big colony, which is not a bad problem because I don't have I'm not overrun with them, but I haven't found like the guppy strain that I'm just like, I need this. I'm sure they exist. I just haven't seen it yet.
I would say sneak a peek in Lucas LRB's fish rooms. That's where I've found a couple that I'm like, I've got to have this fish.
Oh, that's true. I remember when I was at his fish room, though, it's so like there's so much to look at that it just all like blurs into like 50 things of impressiveness. That's not even a sentence, but it is now.
It is, and I like it, and that's a very good way to describe it. The first time I was in there, I was like, I physically looked at every tank, but I didn't really get to like look in every tank. It was like, breezing through the store real quick. You're like, okay, all right. There's so much going on. Like you said, it's overwhelming.
And it never ends. Like like it's in this room, it's in the garage, it's here. I mean, I'm guessing now. I think from what I checked, like he sold his house, right? He's going to be moving.
Last I talked to him, they were still supposed to be. Yeah.
So that's exciting because that means what is he going to come up with now?
Yeah. I've been kind of out of the loop on the house talk, but as far as I know, he was. If not, somebody will correct me in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sure. A little I haven't updated too much. I just knew that he found someone, and I was like, yay, that's nice, because I know it's hard to find someone that is really on the same level of passion that you can pass this on to, that they can maintain this, which is really cool. And then you could start fresh, but also have like your legacy kind of continuing. It's really hard to explain, but I think it's kind of super cool. And it would have been kind of sad for his audience if, say, he moved and he took down his fish room, but in a cool plot twist, it gets to continue.
And I love that. Like you said, that really is awesome that somebody is going to be carrying on that legacy, so to speak. The Oinkmaster Supreme Forever says, hi, James. Sending my love. Thank you again. It was wonderful to meet you, Kasia. But she was at Aquashella Orlando. So I wanted to say hi to you at Aquashella, but you were putting your tank together. So hugs from me.
Oh. So. Anytime I feel like if I'm doing something, unless there's like a camera, because it could be for someone else and I don't want to interrupt if anyone is filming because they asked me to be on something, you're more than welcome to like be like, hey, book me, because I'm first and foremost at Aquashella to meet everyone, and then the events that I get included in or invited into are more so for everyone's entertainment as well. So I'm here to entertain you, kind of, by trying at least I'll try my best. So if in the future, like, just boot me, it's totally okay. I really don't mind, because then I get sad when I don't get to see everybody.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. Absolutely. Paul Ster saying yes, he did sell the house, so it's sold. So that's awesome. Because last I talked to him about houses, they were actually going to look at some houses after leaving Aquashella Orlando, and I haven't really talked to anybody this past month. I just reached out to Bob Steenfod earlier. I was like, hey, buddy, I haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're okay.
I haven't really been talking too much, but that's just my normal thing. I'm really bad. I go into my hidey hole, and then I'll appear. I'll like chat with someone, and then I'll scurry away again. That's sort of my thing, which is kind of bizarre, because I'm doing YouTube. You would think that like extroverted people that love talking to a bunch of variety of people would be doing YouTube. But I kind of did when I started YouTube. Like, YouTube wasn't a thing. I guess that's my little excuse. Like, I'd never expected like so many people to view my videos or to rely on my videos to help them with stuff or learn things, or for me to have like any sort of influence like in the hobby at all. So it's sometimes bizarre, but I try my best, and I really do appreciate like everybody, and I try to like connect as much as I can, but I know I'm kind of bad at that sometimes. Like, I don't check Instagram DMs because there's so many now that if I look at it, I just get overwhelmed and really stressed, and I don't want to be selective and be like, oh, I'm just going to reply to this person, but not reply to this person. So I'm doing the whole, like, if I'm not replying to this person, I'm not replying to anybody, which I know is really bad. But
no, that's understandable, especially as you grow and get up to your size. That I'm sure there are a lot of incoming messages. I know I get a lot just at the level I'm at, but that's also why I cheated while I had you face to face at Aquashella. I was like, hey, set my friend request on here so I can message you. Otherwise, they won't let me message you.
We did it right there. That was really good, actually, because sometimes, especially on Facebook, I get so many friend requests daily that if it's somebody I know, I oftentimes will miss it, and then I feel bad if someone gets annoyed, like, or upset that like, why didn't you accept my thing? Oftentimes I didn't see it. There's so many. I have like at least like at this point like 900 friend requests that I haven't replied to. And I try to look through some of them a little bit. That's why I added a little like pin thing to my Facebook where I'm just like, hello, here's my social media. Like, I'm sorry, I unless I know you, I'm not gonna accept, because Facebook is my like only platform that's like a little private. At least my personal Facebook page is my only like little private place where I get to have a group of people I, for the most part, kind of know. So I try to keep it at that for there. But I get a lot. So on my phone, I actually have notifications turned off for every social media platform. Except I think Facebook Messenger is the only one that's like kind of allowed to ding me, but I also have do not disturb mode go on my phone on top of that at nighttime. Yeah. So I have it like set so much that it helps me not check my phone like as obsessively, because I found myself picking up my phone too much to the point where it was a little unhealthy. So it's weird because when you're on social media, you have to be on social media, but then how do you create like a healthy relationship with social media where like you're on a good amount of time, but you're also not on too much where it's like not unhealthy. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I don't know yet.
That's a very valid point, and I think it's hard to find that balance of what's a good level and what's too much and what's not enough. So.
Internets are weird.
Yes, absolutely. It's a crazy world we live in nowadays, technologically speaking. So, Melvin Reef says, I want to get some electric blue Acara for my 40-gallon breeder and also maybe for my 29-gallon. How many can I get for a 40-gallon breeder and a 29 with other fish as dithers? Do you want to go first, or would you like me to give my suggestion?
I haven't like I've had, I think with the electric blue Acara, I think I might have in the past gotten a pair to try to see if I breed them, and I don't remember if they were wild caught or not. Like I could be like it could all be melding in my head, but I didn't have luck with them. So I feel like anytime I don't have luck with a particular fish, I'm not going to give you advice on something I haven't had luck on. So that's
absolutely. So I am, as Melvin and most people that know me know, I am not the expert when it comes to cichlids. Mrs. Fever is, but I would say in a 40 breeder, I probably would do 8 to 10. Somebody will have an answer in here and they'll correct me, and I'll be like, this is a better number. Just because you've got some good space, front to back on the 40 breeders. So it's not like, you're 55 where it's 12 inches front to back. So they're all kind of crammed right against each other. And you could still have some decent line of sight breaks and some hidey points. And so you've got a decent bit in there to give you something to look at, enough to kind of spread aggression around. So that's not an issue. Of course, there's so many factors. Filtration comes into play and all that stuff. Maybe start with half a dozen, see if they act okay, see if that is enough spread out aggression that you don't have problems. Somebody will chime in here, but that's what I would do. And then again, if it was wrong, Mrs. Fever would be like, no, take those fish out of there. That's not enough. That's too many. That's, all that good stuff. But that's my 2 cents since you asked, Melvin. And I hope you're doing well, buddy. Get back up here. I know the chat jumped on me. We've got some super chats. I will get to those in a moment. I appreciate you all so very, very much for the love and support. I don't think that I have missed that. Just haven't gotten there just yet. Everybody that knows me knows if I'm not 15 minutes behind in the chat, then something's gone wrong.
You're doing pretty good. I'm notoriously bad for just rambling and then getting really lost. And I'm just like, I don't know what's happening in the chat. So...
Well, I've been doing it for about 2 years now, and I've gotten in the habit of it. My plan was always just to make sure the chat was incorporated. I'm more here to hang out with them than I am to just talk and let them watch me talk, I guess is the best way to put it. So
every live stream is a little different. Like everyone's got their cool, like own personal method that kind of works. And I guess it makes it fun because if we're all the same, then the live streams would get very boring.
Definitely. And there's no right or wrong way to do it in that particular sense. Follow your own style, and the people that enjoy that style will find you.
Yeah. In the past, I've had a situation where since I do random live streams, not that often, but when you're random, the people that you have that are your moderators don't always have the opportunity to be there because you're coming out at a random time.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the help of moderators, sometimes it's very easy for like sometimes inappropriate or weird comments to like slip through. And I've had times where I would live stream and I would get caught up on like an inappropriate comment, and then I would get like, it would get me stuck a little bit. So sometimes just because I didn't know like what to do, or like I wouldn't know how to like moderate my own comments, because I usually would live stream on my phone, I would just be like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend like nothing happened and just kind of keep going because I don't know what to do, and I'm a little like panicky, like I didn't expect this to happen.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And we've got a wonderful group of moderators here, and a huge thank you to them for all the work that they do. They
mm,
fortunately don't have to deal with too many trolls here on the channel. I think people kind of got the idea that there was this wall of moderation they weren't going to get past, and so they've really stopped coming here that often. But it can get interesting, like you said.
yeah, moderators are the unsung heroes of live streams.
They really are. They really, really are. We've got some really good ones in here that throw up the links and, field questions or let me know if I missed something. So they do amazing work, and I can't thank them enough for everything they do. Lefty3213A has been a member for 23 months using his member super chat. Thank you for that, Lefty. Says, woot, over a year. Year now. Let's go. See you soon, April 30th. Yes, Aquaticon here in Knoxville, Tennessee is just around the corner. It's a month away. April 30th. It's going to be awesome, Lefty. Love hanging out with you. It'll be good to see you again, and everybody else that's coming out. It's going to be a fun time. And we'll talk more about that with some more announcements on next Thursday's show. But I'm not going to take over this hour that we have with Kasia to talk long and hard about the Aquaticon event. But it's going to be some hype coming next week. So stay tuned for that.
It would still be pretty cool because I always get excited for hyping up all the fish events because I feel like the hobby always benefits.
It does. It does. My big thing is trying to get word out because we rented 18,000 square feet to do the event. Actually, I think it was a little more than that. By the time you add on the speakers room, it might have been 20,000 square feet because everybody wanted an event. So we made it possible to do this big event. But we're just trying to get the word out to as many people as possible to let them know that it's happening. And that seems to be where we're running into somewhat of a snag. So there's going to be a lot of people there. But I feel like the more people we can tell about it, especially in these upcoming weeks, the more people will get to come out and check it out and have a good time.
Do you have a Facebook event set up for it?
Yeah, we've got a Facebook event set up. We've put the word out there and like ads on all the surrounding cities and all the surrounding states on Craigslist, just trying to spread the word and let everybody know, hey, we've got this event planned, and we love to make it to where we can do another one and another one, another one.
Because I want to say to everyone that's watching, if you're local and you're coming and you see the Facebook event, try to mark it as you're either going as interested, because when you do that, Facebook will show it more likely to your friends as well. And that could be one little small way to help that kind of spread. Because usually there's a possibility if you're into fish, you probably have other fishy friends that are local. So if you're going to a local event, or just at least share it on your wall too, because usually these things are shareable. So that's my little attempt to try to help.
Well, and I appreciate that. And that's a very good point. And yeah, we've got people coming from all across the country to this thing, so it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun to hang out with everybody and look at fish and talk fish. Doug Boyle says, thoughts on a 40-gallon breeder planted with 4 to 6 peacock gudgeon, 3 to 4 pistogrammas, 3 Belgian rams, 8 Cory cats, and an African butterfly cichlid. Thoughts on it? My thoughts on it are, I hope it's planted all nice and pretty. I don't know necessarily what you're looking for there, Doug. I know you're here every week. I mean, I would say as long as you've got adequate filtration, both with having plants in there to help balance the ecology of it, as well as having legitimate good filtration on their mechanical and biological, I think you'd be good to go. It sounds like a very pretty tank is what I think. I want to see it. So show me your tank, Doug.
Right. Always try to add a little bit of blocking line of sight, because if worst comes to worst, if your fish are not getting along, I always try to think, what can I add in my tank that a fish can either hide behind or under or inside? Give them a space, because fish can't really escape in a glass box. So you want to give them an option just in case, but do it in such a way that you can see it. So that way, if you see a stressed out fish in a corner, that hopefully it's not in the back of the tank, so that you can never see it, because then you can try to address the problem if needed. Sometimes some stress is normal, and then you can just be like, I'm just going to keep an eye on you. You might be fine. You're just panicking a little bit, but you'll be okay, little fish. But in some situations, you might be like, hey, these particular fish don't work. Because there's been situations where theoretically the fish I was putting together should have worked. Other people kept them and it worked for them. And everywhere else on the internet is like, yeah, it'll work. And then like I try it and it doesn't work. So fish are individuals. I almost said fish are people. I don't know why that was happening in my head.
Those are very, very valid points, and I completely agree with you. We've said many times, what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. And that they do have their own personalities. Just because one Oscar is aggressive doesn't mean that the other Oscar I have is aggressive. So you've got to look at those personalities, like you mentioned. Good points. Good points. Sarah J. Sieber, the Savannah Darter, says, I'm glad you're back. I'm streaming after Rico Stan tonight. Awesome, Sarah. I'm glad to hear that you're keeping up with the streaming. And it's good to see you. And I'm glad to be back, too. Thanks for the welcome back.
Yeah.
Roll on down here. Jeff H. with the $5.67 super chat says, howdy, fish people. Ed, feel better, buddy. All our positive vibes coming at you, friend. Jeff, thank you. Really appreciate the positive vibes going to Ed and the super chat. The support there means a lot to me, Jeff. So thank you for that, my friend. I hope you're having a good night tonight. The Zen Ginger hashtag Team Zebra with her members super chat there says almost there, waiting for that 2-year member icon to pop up. I know what she meant by the almost there. Thank you, Zen. She's not only I guess the longest and top member of the channel. She's also a moderator here, so can't say enough thank yous to her. She's been a member the longest and at the highest tier the longest. Besides all the awesome work she does every week, throwing the links out here and keeping everybody in line, whacking them with that stick when they try and get out of line there. So thank you to Zen Ginger.
Yay.
It has disappeared on me. I know there was a question, and I think it was from Alice B, but I can't find it again. But it was for you, and it was, if space was not an issue, what size tank would you like to have and what fish in it?
Oh, that's a dangerous question. Oh, man. Okay, if space was not an issue, I would like a tank that I can comfortably kind of just go in there and just, scuba something, swim around with my fish. I don't know what fish I would put in there. Probably something that can't bite me. Because if I want to get in the tank, I want to be sure that I'll be okay. You know what would be the stupidest but funniest, like most awful thing I could do? Imagine if I had like a 500-gallon tank with ocelotus in there and just getting attacked by these tiny little fish as I swim through, and they're just like, wait, just the stupidest video.
That would be a sight to see. That would be something else.
Oh, I'd probably have to wear like a full wetsuit or something, because I would not do like the bathing suit thing. I feel like the internet is not ready for that. Nor do they need that, but
I mean, that might be your video that gets you to 200,000 subscribers there. You never know.
I need to deep fake King of DIY like on my face or something, so that way it's like, I don't know, make it extra weird with the ocelotus. That would be the weirdest thing ever. Like, get this huge tank and put little tiny angry fish inside.
That would be, and I'm a huge fan of the bigger tanks with lots of small fish, because I feel like we don't see that enough. Obviously, you're not even necessarily up to the 500-gallon, but even just a 125 with a whole lot of little fish, or a 200, 250 with a whole lot of little fish, because typically people are buying those big tanks for big fish.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see a lot of, there's a school of 100 rummy nose tetra together and things of that nature. So
I would be curious to see how the behaviors of fish would change, because I know that based on the tank size, they'll change already. I mean, I try to be creative, and I sometimes will keep my fish in smaller setups, especially for breeding purposes, because I sometimes feel like it's a little easier. Not always, but like if you keep a pair, they're less stressed out if they have to just take care of their babies and have to worry about keeping them safe from everybody. But on the other hand, I feel like a larger tanks is like a whole new world. Like, for example, with the ocelotus, like, would they still be very angry at me if they had like I don't know, 8 feet of space? Or would they still be like, no, I will bite you if you come near my shell, like within 3 feet of my shell, I will mess you up. I don't know, because
Yeah.
it's ocelotus. So
Oh,
you don't
that's a
mess with
very
those
good point,
fish.
though.
They'll give piranha the run for their money.
There you go. Yeah. Well, and I've still got the scars to show from that one, but yeah, that's a tank I won't swim in.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that actually.
Let's see. Alice B had a question here. Can I have one Oscar in a 60-gallon if I overfilter and regularly water change? So I don't know exactly what the 60-gallon dimension is front to back. Like a 55, I know is 12 inches, which is cutting it close. I really recommend a 75 as a minimum. So I would phrase it. I will phrase my answer in this form. I'll give you a non-answer here, Alice. If the fish fully grown is not going to touch the front and back glass, like when it goes to turn, like it's not going to be smacking glass, I would think you're going to be okay. And in terms of volume, that single fish and the feeding and the waste, the biological setup shouldn't be a problem in 60 gallons. You know, one Oscar, especially with adequate filtration. The main point for me would be, is the fish going to be rubbing its chin on the glass all the time because it doesn't have room to turn around or swim anywhere?
It's a very good point. Oh, you got the 65 is 18 inches.
Okay, so yeah,
I saw something in the chat.
nice.
That's my contribution.
Good catch there. So yeah, I would say yeah, it should be fine. Go for it. Go for it. Get that Oscar. Enjoy it. You don't even have to go crazy with the filtration. I know you mentioned if you over filtered it, you don't have to go super crazy with the filtration. Plants are going to be probably very hard to do with an Oscar. I've found very few that leave plants alone. It's possible, again, going back to individual behaviors, but typically they like to root that stuff up. You could maybe do like some wisteria or some water sprites, some floating plants, things like that in the tank to help get a little bit more of that natural balance from plant life in there. And then probably whatever filtration you have around is going to work. You could do a couple hang-on backs on there. You could do canister filter. So a lot of it goes to personal preference on what your style is. Of course, if you wanted to be like, well, what's the best, you know, throw a sump on there and you're good to go for life, right? Because you can do whatever you want in there. You can hide all your heater and that stuff, but you don't have to go into all that.
Good point. I've never had a fish bigger than, I would say, maybe like this. My Placidochromis are this big. So yeah. One day I'll get a big fish, and it's gonna be an exciting moment for me because I'll be like, I'm part of, I don't know, the cool club. Because when you have an apartment, you're kind of limited. I mean, I probably could get away with like something bigger in my 55, but I just gotta keep the Placidochromis. They're gonna stay forever.
Well, that's awesome though. I think that's a cool fish to have in there. I've done the monster fish keeping thing. That was what I was really into, you know, a decade plus ago before I got out of the hobby. It was like monster fish. I was like breeding piranhas, and I had the, you know, 2-foot pacu, however you want to pronounce it. And I liked monster fish. That was my thing. And aggressive fish. And then I came back and it's like, ooh, guppies. And I still have piranha, or I got piranhas again. I'm still into those. And I've got like the bichers, the bickers, shears, however you want to pronounce that one. But I really am enjoying the smaller fish this go around. So you know, it's fun to try new things. Like you said, you get a big fish, you're like, this is great. I got a, you know, this big guy now that acts like a puppy dog, or is just meaner than snot, wants to rip my fingers off when I put my hand in the tank.
That's my one worry about big fish, because I feel like anytime anything is, because I'm scared to stick my hand in with my ocelotus half the time. Like, I need to probably make a video soon about how I even figure out to stick my hand. I will use my other hand and with a net and distract them, and they're fighting the net while I'm trying to like multitask and like do stuff, because I'm afraid that they're gonna bite me, and they're little and they can't even do any damage. So I'm a huge chicken. So I want like a big fish, but I want something that's not gonna hurt me. That's why the first thing was like, comet goldfish is a safe choice.
Oh, that is a good one.
But the femur of flower horn, I don't know.
Yeah, it might get a hold of you. Oinkmaster Supreme Forever says one of the biggest dream tank setups would be like your angel and glowfish tank. Gorgeous. Well, thank you, Oinkmaster. I appreciate that. And many people know. That wasn't even a planned thing. It just happened to be that I was given the glowfish, and I was like, well, the community fish. I've got the community tank. We'll throw them in there and let them live a quote unquote natural life in just a standard planted tank versus the glow style, which nothing wrong with the glow style if you want to do that. But I wanted to show that you didn't have to do that, and they would still be beautiful and thrive in a different environment.
Yeah, and they really pop.
They do. They really, really do. And if I want some of that glow to really stick out, I'll just switch it over to the blue light mode on the light. You don't have to go with the glow light specifically to get pretty colors out of them.
I like the little angelfish that keeps popping up, the white one where it looks like he has a unibrow that's kind of a little frowny, and every now and then you'll see the frowny unibrow, and I see it, and I get a little distracted. If there's a moment where you're talking to me and like I space out, it's probably the I'm going to call him the unibrow fish. You're not going to see that now.
There are other people that talk about the unibrow fish. Yeah, you were not the first one. That one really stands out. I've actually, it's to the point I'm going to have to get a really good picture, and I've been asked to do some merchandise with the unibrow fish on there. So
him or her, it needs to have an official name, and it's going to be fancy.
I think somebody named him Bert.
Bert,
if I remember correctly, because of the big eyebrow from Bert and Ernie. So yeah. I can't remember who it was, and they'll probably let me know in the chat. But he is kind of like an unofficial spokesman, mascot for the channel there. So.
Spokesfish.
Yes.
They should have been for the day that you couldn't do the live stream. Just put the camera on Bert. Just have people just follow him. I bet. I mean, I would probably watch that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure people do like a lot of times on ads. I'll just kind of move myself off the green screen, and it's just the fish, so they're just watching. That, and they're like, yeah, James, go away and just let us look at the fish.
Oh my god, there's a unibrow. I see him. He's snacking.
Now I'm gonna block everybody's view of the fish. They're like, get out of the way. The chat jumped on me here. Let me get back to where I was. Well, here, Alice B has another question for you. What is your least favorite fish?
Ooh. I think there's two. One is sorry, goldfish people, but the goldfish with the bubble eyes, that worries me so much because that's such a dangerous mutation for if they bump into anything, they'll those sacs will pop, and that's not good for them. Yeah. And anytime a fish is super, super delicate, I'm just like, did we go too far, guys? Did we cross the line? I don't know. I really don't know. And then the other one would be bettas who have the X factor gene. So they would have feather tails or the rose tails. I know that they're really beautiful. And, they make, nice pets just like any other fish. The issue with them is because the X factor gene affects bettas in such multifaceted ways, because it affects their spine, their internal organs. Sometimes they'll show up with irregular scaling, and that's part of the reason that they get the extreme branching, is because you have to line breed and push the genetics really far to get that extreme beautiful look. But the downside is when you buy these fish, you don't know that a lot of its siblings were culled. So whenever you breed feather tails or rose tails, a vast majority of the siblings are going to be culls, because they're going to have really badly deformed spines. They're going to have a lot of issues. And only the pretty ones that just happened to look nice are the ones that end up being sold. And, that's not the consumer's fault in any way, because, a lot of the times you don't know unless you're breeding bettas. But that really bothers me because, it's hard to breed out once you get the X factor gene into any line. So once you have it, it's really hard to get rid of it. But also it's just, I don't know. I feel bad for all of the other fish that had to be culled because of that. Because I'm not against culling fish, because when you breed, sometimes you have to. But if you're gonna breed something and a vast majority of those fish are not viable, like fish that you can sell to other people because they have so many issues, then to me that's a red flag. That's hey, maybe this is also not a good idea and going too far. So for me, things bother me when I start to be concerned about things going too far. And then that varies for person to person. So there might be people out there who would maybe think otherwise, or maybe love rose tails and feather tails. That's a personal opinion of mine. But yeah, those are I think the two that kind of bother me a little bit, and I get sad and I worry about the state of fish, or like sometimes like don't go so far, guys. No, stop.
Well, and I love the fact that you have intellectual reasoning behind that, though, versus, and I won't delve off too deep into it, but a couple weeks ago we were talking about a comment I had from a guy that was hating the glowfish and how it was so cruel, and anybody that promoted those fish should have their channel banned and all this other stuff. And it's like, you're injecting all these fish, and I'm like, they're not injected. They're they're modified, yes, but nobody's sitting there with dye injecting these individual fish. So,
yeah.
Everybody's got their own line.
I'm concerned because I mean there are fish that do get injected with patterns, so it's very easy. Sometimes, I mean, even myself in the hobby, like I've gotten information where not all of it was factual, or maybe part of it was, because there's always things being spread around and things get changed a lot too. So it's very easy, everyone falls for it. I fall for it all the time. See, words, none of us can words today.
Yeah, no, words are hard. And you're absolutely right, which is why I was trying to be informed. I was trying to do the respectable fish tuber thing and be like, hey, here's the information. And the person was like, no, that's nonsense. You're a horrible person. And I won't go too far into Mr. Anonymous's craziness, but we actually did a decent bit of a live stream going through that person's comments. Who we didn't name because we didn't want any hate on them, but some people don't want to learn is the problem. And to your point, sometimes there's not good information out there, but when there is valid information, I feel like people need to actually look at the information before forming a strong opinion on something.
When I got my glow betta, because I was like, I want to see, they're coming out, it's the next thing, everyone is like, glow bettas, I wanted to look into it. When I started to actually research into what glow bettas are, it was actually quite interesting. Oddly enough, you would think that my concern would be with the glow bettas, like genetically changing fish, but my concern is not with that. It's how they the stock that they use for the bettas, because the glow bettas that they've been breeding you can tell that they've been very poorly bred. Okay. So I surprisingly, I don't have an issue with genetically altering a fish. I'm just like, if you're gonna breed all these fish, do also focus on the other side of breeding too, because you're seeing a lot of deformities and a lot of issues. And then I saw someone overseas, because you're not supposed to breed glow bettas, but there's some people that are like, I'm going to do it anyways, and they're not going to sell them, they're just going to do it for themselves. I've seen some people that actually are very knowledgeable in breeding bettas who actually produce really nice glow bettas, and they can't sell them, they can't mass share them, and they're really nice quality fish, but that's kind of the thing. But it was really cool to research and see where they get the different proteins for different colors. Like they get some of them from jellyfish, some of them from corals that glow in the dark, and other cool things. So I was like, this is an interesting topic.
It is, and see, I wasn't aware of the breeding issue, the breeding side of it, but that makes sense, I guess, because anytime you have a commercially available fish for aquariums, there's going to be just some farm breeding, if you will. We're just going to breed these in mass, and the genetics kind of go out the window at some point. So that's a shame that they're doing it that way, because like you said, you've seen people that are making really beautiful ones, and I'm sure that if they just felt like taking the time and energy to do it, there could be some really, really great ones, genetically speaking, on the market.
And they would last longer, because now I'm experimenting with keeping some of my spawn that I've been trying my bestest to try to selectively breed healthier fish. I haven't gotten that far, so I can't really say I've accomplished anything just yet, but I've already been holding back some of the fish, and my bucket babies, as I want to call them, next month is going to be their 2-year-old birthday, which is kind of cool. And it's very interesting because I have another fish that is a little over 2 years old, and the difference between both my bucket babies and that fish is like night and day, because the other one has a lot of tumors. He looks like he's like an 8-year-old betta, and he's only 2.5. So it's very interesting to see how genetics do play a really big role. And I'm very excited to see that like my fish are doing pretty well. They're not showing, I'm not seeing any tumors pop up, which is a big thing. I guess that's one thing, that when you massively produce fish, you don't have the space or the time to hold back some of your spawn to see what happens and to see like, will these fish continue to be healthy? Because some issues pop up later, and you won't see it. So I'm trying to do that to see like if I should stop my line if there's issues, or continue line breeding based on like what they do. And it's kind of been an interesting experiment to try to see if I can increase the longevity of my bettas, and so far they're doing well.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. That sounds like an interesting experiment, an interesting process to observe.
It's fun. It's fun. And I'm also experimenting with having some of them jarred and some of them in a female sorority. And that's been super cool to observe, because I already saw a couple things. I saw one thing is that they do care about color. So because most of the spawn is cellophane, so lacking pigment, I do have a couple reds. They actually go after the reds more. So I actually have to remove them because they get beat up a lot more. Gotcha. And then I have at least 3 males in with my sorority. And that was not intentional. That was one of the boys that just matured. And now I realize that they're males. And surprisingly, the males have not at all bothered each other. So I have 3 coexisting sibling males with all the females. They're not trying to breed. I'm not gonna like promote it in a way like you should try this, but it's an interesting like one-time experiment that I still want to like later on share my findings. But I know it's one of those things that I don't know if necessarily the same thing would happen if someone like tried to do this again. Like this would have to be an experiment that's done like multiple times, with multiple spawns, where you can then after a while be like, well, this means A, B, and C. But I think that kind of happens with fish keepers sometimes. We see something happen in our tank and we're like, yeah, you can do that. But weird stuff happens. But it's fun. It's fun to observe all that.
It is. Really, really is. I'm going to grab a couple things from the chat real quick, because we're coming up on the 1 hour mark already. This hour has flown by. Rico Stan using his member chat says, I think I'm 4 months away, maybe 3. Been a member for 20 months. Almost to that 2-year mark. Again, a huge thank you for all the love and support from you, Rico Stan. Not just as a member and a moderator, but also as a member of the Fish Room Fever family of channels, and the gentleman who will be streaming next here in just a couple of minutes when we wrap things up here. Get back down through here. There was the comment on the 60 breeder. Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes. This is the kind of trolling we get. The trolling we get here is, can I have a breeding pair of shabunkins in a 5-gallon? And you know you can't. But that's the kind of troll that we get here. It's the fun stuff. The laughable things. How many Oscars can I put in a 10-gallon? Scuba Stevo says he's ready for Aquaticon. Buddy, I am too. It's been stressful on my end, trying to get everything planned and prepped and ready. Not nearly as much for me as I'm sure it is for Kenny, the owner of Aquatic Marine and the gentleman who's putting on Aquaticon for us all. I know he's stressing as we get down to the wire, but it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to hanging out with everybody and having a good time. There was the question about your least favorite fish. I did get that. Ointmaster Supreme Forever says, James, as an advocate for blood parrots, I wish I could ban the desecration of these beautiful fish, tattooing, dye injections, cutting their back fins, all to make them into heart shaped. Yes, and that's one thing I was very clear in that glowfish debate. I was like, look, I agree with you. If a fish is, getting tattooed and injected and hacked up, I'm totally against that. I agree with you completely. That's not what's going on in this case, though. You just picked the wrong case to take your, stand on. But I agree completely there, Master. Paul Stero saying the genetics on most mass-produced entry-level fish suck. See guppies. Yeah. So, big box store guppies, they tend to fall apart, almost right away. Ed and I have said many times, if we buy guppies from, a big box store, we don't really count on any of them living very long. We're just trying to get them to breed in our water so that next generation will be stronger. And then usually the second generation that has been bred from parents that were born in our water is a pretty good line. And you can build fish up like you talked about and make them stronger.
Yeah. The same thing is happening with bettas. The thing that I see a lot of people struggle with is the vast majority of bettas that you can purchase right now are imports from overseas, which already puts you in a disadvantage because you have fish that are acclimating to waters vastly different than, what is overseas. So there's going to be, a lot higher chance of failing. So I'm hoping that whenever I do my betta breeding series, that I can encourage people to breed in, their countries so that local fish can be available.
Very good point. Very good point. I think we're going to take two more things here, and then we're going to wrap it up. Crown Tail, I will get yours, though. But Paul's, that was Paul's, and then... All right, let me grab this one real quick before it runs away on me. Crown Tail Half Moon says, James, sir, could you share any information on breeding and raising swordtails and mollies? Also ask Kasia if the OB cross red dragon male with black dragon female, HMPK, if you get both colors fry.
I'm going to need to look up that comment again.
It was at 10:24 if you've got your timestamp. Oh, 9:24 your time, excuse me. 9:24 your time.
What do I have timestamps in my chat?
It was...
Oh, because I'm looking at the wrong one. I didn't know there's also chat in here in Streamlabs.
There is one in here as well. Actually, let me see if I can find it in here and pull it up for you.
New.
Let me pull it up for you in here.
Because I'm a visual person, so that's why I wanted to see the comment. Because as soon as you start telling me multiple things, especially with shortened things, I was like, you lost me halfway. My brain was like, hold on.
There's that.
Oh, there we go.
While you're reading that, I'm going to say huge thank you to Whip's World. Whip, I hope you're doing well, buddy. $2 super sticker with that little number 1 fox. I appreciate your support, my friend. And again, welcome to the Fish Room Fever family of channels, buddy. Appreciate you joining the team. We all share a popular interest in love of fish and a popular approach to how fish keeping should be done and how you should take care of the community. So glad to have you on board.
Okay, now that I got to read, my answer is not that cool because I'm actually not that good at selectively breeding bettas for specific traits, because what I try to breed my bettas for particularly has been health this whole time. So while I do sometimes try a little bit to go for a certain look, I really don't really care that much how they turn out, because I know that I'll do my best to find them homes. And so I'm not very good at answering that question, but I do know a good resource for that. The Betta Territory YouTube channel is really, really good because Yoop goes really in depth into betta genetics and what different crosses will produce. And there's also, I think it's called, it's Bettas for All. There we go. Bettas for All in Facebook group is one of the groups that's the club that Yoop runs, and he's in there. So if you actually pose that question, you will get a very good answer versus me trying to kind of guess and approximate versus, from people that have experience selectively producing, results that they want. So that's kind of it's not as cool of an answer, but hopefully I can direct you to someone that's more knowledgeable than me, which is what I like to do oftentimes.
And that's the best answer you can give. I'll keep mine brief. In terms of the swordtails and the mollies, really not different than anything I would suggest for breeding most other fish. Make sure you've got a well-filtered and balanced aquarium. The diet is the big thing that seems to work for me. Getting them some high-protein foods, whether it's through a flake food or a small pellet food. I would get some baby brine shrimp or some brine shrimp in there. You can do some baby too, but brine shrimp specifically has done wonders for me in breeding a lot of different fish, getting those proteins in there and making sure that they can get everything they need for proper egg development, so that you can get them really in gear to breed. So that's going to do it for mine there. Nothing fancy, nothing special, no super sexy secret tip, just, really, really good diet and a quality environment. And a lot of times that's all you need.
I've never had swordtails or mollies before.
They're fun. I really prefer, I'm on the guppy Inler kick right now, but they're still both fun fish. They really. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up because we've gone a little bit over our hour. And we're going to send everybody over to Rico Stan. Link will be in the live chat, so you can head over there. Again, a huge thank you, Kasia, for coming and hanging out. It's been fun. This hour has flown by.
Thank you for inviting me.
Is there anything in closing that you would like to tell people about? Any place, you want to send them an account or anything, website?
I don't know. Well, for starters, I don't know, since I mentioned Better Territory, that channel is a very underrated channel. I feel like it's been growing a lot slower because it's not like pew pew entertaining, which I know YouTube really likes. It's very like good information. It's like really in depth. It kind of feels like a lecture. So I actually want to send people over to Youp's channel. I mean, I also want people to come to mine because I want to reach 100,000. But honestly, I feel like Youp is super deserving. I think he reached like 12,000 subscribers. I could be wrong. I don't remember, but like he deserves a lot more. So I would say check out his channel because you will learn a lot about bettas. He's truly a betta expert. So yeah, that's gonna be my thing. Like go check out Better Territory. Yeah.
There you go. Go check them out. Thank you to everybody new showing up. I saw some new people, to myself and to you, saying they went and subscribed to both. So thanks for that. As always, a huge thank you to the moderators, the members, the lurkers, listeners, super chatters, contributors, questioners, commentators, and of course the replay crew. I love you guys. Until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.